everybody. Welcome to Vikings Report Rewind. I guess there's only two of us right now, but I'm Ted. Somewhere around here is Drew, and as always, our other co-host Chris, our prognosticator and blogger over at the Daily Norseman. The Vikings.
Yeah.
Oh, just get rid of it. No, stop it. The Vikings absolutely dismantled the Houston Texans to move to 3-0 with a convincing 34-7 win today. We were talking right before we came on. Chris, when was the last time you can remember such convincing wins 3 games in a row by the Vikings?
It's been a while. You probably got to go back to at least 2017 for that, if not even earlier. I'd have to go back and look at the 2017 schedule to see what the margin of victory was in some of those games. But yeah, it's been a long time, and this one wasn't even close. I mean, the Vikings just went out and just beat the crap out of Houston from the beginning. Still never lost to the Houston Texans. They're now 6-0 against Houston all time. So yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch, man.
I don't even think. I mean, like 2017 was a fun year. Don't get me wrong. I think even 2009 or even 98. I mean, because 2017 it seemed every week was a nail biter, Drew.
Yeah.
Even with that ridiculous outfit you have on.
We're the Kings, Ted. I got to wear it.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, Andrew
There's
Erickson says
no argument ever.
Andrew Erickson says that was an ass kicking in every sense of the word. It was. I don't know if you guys. First of all, welcome everybody. We've got about 45 in the chat room. I'm sure that's going to multiply. If you are new here, we're going to give away a prize at the end. Jay Johnson, I don't know. You just jinxed us. Jay, Vikings kickers, have they erased the curse finally? The Texas kicker missed one earlier, and now Reichert hits one from 58. That's true. Help my fantasy team. By the way, hashtag nobody cares about the fantasy team. But look, if you want to be eligible to win a prize at the end of the show, holy crap on a cracker, I think we have a team. Shane Lynn, yeah, that's true. I think we do. But if you want to be eligible to win a prize at the end of the show, just make a comment. You'll be entered. Ruby's taking down the names of people that are entered, and she's going to spin a virtual wheel. If you make a comment that either Chris, Drew, or I think is hysterical or funny or super insightful, we may issue an on-the-spot prize. We will let you know if you are a winner. All you have to do is contact Ruby. It's Vikings Report with Drew and Ted at gmail.com. And as always, check us out at VikingsReport.com. Chris's work over at DailyNorseman.com, and then Purple Plain Forums, our online home on the internet, purpleplainforums.com. All right, that out of the way. Man, what an utter ass kicking. And look, if you saw our preview show, I said we were going to kick the hell out of the Vikings. Drew said the Texans are going to have trouble running the ball. And Chris, he took C.J. Stroud over Sam Darnold. Keep doing it. Keep picking.
I will.
Keep picking the other quarterback. I don't know.
I'll take Malik Willis over Sam Darnold if it'll help this team keep winning football games. I don't. God, man alive. I want to take a moment and also thank all of the teams in the National Football League who had coaching vacancies this last offseason for completely ignoring Brian Flores and instead hiring a bunch of dudes who are not anywhere near as good of football coaches as Brian Flores is. Because, yeah, if that dude wants to be Minnesota's defensive coordinator forever, I would be just fine with that.
Yeah, for sure. This defense, they had C.J. Stroud confused all afternoon. He looked completely out of sync. He only made one what I thought was really good throw, and that was the one on their only touchdown drive to Nico Collins. It was a 43-yard seed, and not a lot of guys could make that throw, and it was right on the button, and it set them up for their only score. Drew, I thought other than that, the Vikings had Stroud's number all day. He looked like C.J. Stroud at Ohio State playing Michigan. Is personally what I thought all day.
Actually, I thought that was a better catch and it was a pass, but
okay, all right,
yeah, doesn't really matter. He caught the ball, and you talk about Flores had Stroud confused. Flores has, and I've watched a lot of football in my life. He has me confused. There's 4 at the line. Then there's 6 guys at the line. Then there's 8 guys at the line. Before the snap, 4 of the 8 fall out. And then after the snap, he's got 3 guys at the line, then 7 guys, and then they're moving around. Harrison Smith's coming at you. Metellus is coming at you. Flores has been a great defensive coordinator in this league. This is the best personnel he's ever had.
Yes.
This is what that's what he'll tell you, hopefully, in the press conferences. I finally got my guys. Grenard, Van Ginkel. Those are the guys that work best with what he's doing. And he you know what it reminded me of? They showed him a couple times on camera, and like the third time they showed him on the sidelines, they showed Flores quite a bit. He looks like that, in the rodeo, they got that bull that's in the cage walking back and forth with this mean-ass growl snarl on his face. He looked like that bull. He looked like the bull waiting to let that gate open so he could beat somebody's ass. He's walking. You can almost see the snarling coming out of the you know what I'm talking about? He looks like he's pacing like he's gonna beat somebody. He just looks possessed. And I love it. I love it. Viking games are fun again, Ted.
Yeah, they are. Speaking of that, a couple comments kind of to that point. It said a disgusting act said Grenard was out to prove a point today. I think he had 3 sacks overall. And then it was, where was the other comment about? Jason Fienhage said the Vikings just took 2 Super Bowl contending teams to the woodshed, and they absolutely did. They led the San Francisco 49ers from wire to wire, and that game wasn't as close as the final score indicated, and they just absolutely dismantled Houston. I mean, it wasn't even close. And Laramie Tunsil, who is a Pro Bowl offensive tackle, looked like an undrafted free agent rookie today. He did, man.
How many false starts did they have?
About 42, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Count. Yes.
I think I saw the stat sometime during here. The Vikings have played 180 minutes of football this year, and they have trailed for 3 minutes and 26 seconds.
Wow!
And that was after that was because the Giants got that field goal off the short field in the first game, and were up 3-0 until the Vikings stopped screwing around.
Chris would get a prize if he was eligible. That's a prize-worthy comment, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't get over how utterly dominant the Minnesota Vikings have been today.
When I did my research for this game, the preview that came out Friday, I told you at the end of that show, I think the Texans are a little better than the Niners. The Vikings just completely. If the Vikings play like that, they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but damn, their defense is legit. And it's not lucky. It's not smoke and mirrors. It is clamped down. The Houston Texans, Chris, didn't get in the red zone till 4 minutes and 50 seconds left in the third quarter. Think of that.
And think this team did this today with no Jordan Addison, no TJ Hawkinson, no Ivan Pace, no Dallas Turner. I mean, can you imagine what this offense is going to look like when Addison and Hawkinson get healthy and get going again? It's going to be crazy fun to watch.
I like when they started the telecast with that stat, Ted, that said C.J. Stroud hasn't thrown a pick in 266 pass attempts. And the Vikings picked them off.
I wanted to bring that up because I said to myself, there's the announcer curse right there, because I knew the Vikings were going to get an interception at some point today. I didn't think it would be that early.
No.
But I said, that's the – if that had been like a thing about the Vikings, if that had been, Sam Darnold hadn't thrown an interception in 266 pass attempts, Sam Darnold would have thrown a pick on the first play. And I said, the Vikings are going to get a pick.
Digital's right on. Look at that.
Yeah, 30 points in 3 weeks. And then I think AJ Freeberg TV said something to the effect, this defense is better than Zimmer's. Yeah, it's a hellfire defense, man. It is relentless pressure. It is, if you're the opposing quarterback, Drew, you said something earlier. One time they show 6 guys and they bring 6. One time they show 9 guys and they go into Tampa 2. You have no idea what the Minnesota Vikings are going to line up with, and then what they're going to end up with from play to play. And somebody said it earlier. I can't remember who it was. And I saw the clip on Twitter. At the end of last week's game, I saw this video clip, and Brock Purdy and Brian Flores met at midfield. And they, did the post game, hey, great game. And Purdy said to Flores, your scheme is crazy. And that's because nobody, from snap to snap, nobody knows what personnel Flores is going to use. Nobody knows where those personnel are going to line up, and nobody knows where those personnel are going to end up because he interchanges. You showed that graphic in our preview show where Josh Metellus, for example, has lined up on every snap this year, and it looks like a shot pattern when you go to the shooting range. I mean, my God. Can you imagine now? And Brock Purdy's a good quarterback.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony. It's also 200 rated guys with Grugier Hill and Tillery, and I want to talk about Grugier Hill in a minute because he made the absolute most of his opportunity with Ivan Pace Jr. out today.
He sure did.
Anthony's given money to like 5 straight shows, so he gets to go in the prize vault.
Yeah. Go pick out a prize, Anthony. Vikes Report, DrewandTed@gmail.com.
He's always a big supporter of the show.
He is. But I just man, and Purdy's a good quarterback. CJ Stroud's a good quarterback. Next week, when they face either Malik Willis or Jordan Love, again, it's going to be one of those. What are they going to do? What are they going to do when Brian Flores rolls out his defense again? I don't know, man.
No, I mean, we all saw that the defense ran out of gas at the end of last year because of injuries and the offense being ineffective and whatnot. And we've said this a lot of times this season. Brian Flores has the guys he wants in there now. I mean, they let Danielle Hunter go, and Danielle Hunter's a great player, and he damn near hurt Sam Darnold. I guess screw that guy going forward, I guess. But they replaced Hunter with a bunch of guys, and now rather than having to worry about one dude on the pass rush, you got to worry about all sorts of stuff. And between that and the upgrade and the experience in the secondary with Gilmore has been great, Shaq Griffin's been great.
Yeah.
That allows Brian Flores to do. He can open up the entire playbook at this point. I mean, toward the end of last year, I think he was kind of limited in what he could do. Now he can do literally whatever he wants because he's got the dudes to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. How about we do a quick game recap? We've talked about some individual players.
Yeah, we can do that. One thing on Flores. Every once in a while, you get your talent. Either you got your talent and you don't have the scheme like Donatel, or you got really good scheme and he doesn't have the players. This reminds me of when Belichick was running Parcells' defense in the late 80s with Lawrence Taylor, Harry Carson, Jim Burt,
Carl Banks. Yeah.
Or that Ravens defense with Marv Lewis with the great scheme and all the players he had, like 2000 or whatever that was, 2001. Vikings Flores has the talent and the scheme going. And when you get that, you're in your money. He knows it. Look at him on the sidelines. He fucking knows it.
Yeah.
It's like 2017 with what Zimmer was doing with all those dudes he had. I mean, you had Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter and Linval Joseph and Kendricks and Barr, and Xavier Rhodes was the best corner in the league for a couple of years, and Harrison Smith, and even the guys that weren't like the great players on defense like Trey Waynes were still really, really good players. And he had the scheme that he finally got all of his players to buy into, and it was something to watch, and we're seeing something like that now.
Not only does Flores have the right players and the right scheme, he knows where to put those players in just about every single situation. And it's like he's one or two plays ahead of the offensive coordinator, just like Kevin O'Connell is one or two plays ahead most of the time of the opposing defensive coordinator. So let's get into the game. So we talked about the interception. Grugier Hill makes the pick off of CJ Stroud on the Texans opening drive. And talk about a guy making the most of his opportunity. We saw when Ivan Pace was listed as out, everybody's kind of worried. Ooh, geez, man, I don't kind of. And that was Man, that was a heck of a play. I mean, and it set the Vikings up, on the 21-yard line, I think?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and 6 plays. And then for whatever reason, the Houston Texans played the let's leave Justin Jefferson wide open in the end zone call, and it's 7-0 Vikings. And we're barely 5 minutes into the game. I don't know. It was great. I'm pretty happy about the thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just gonna say absolutely and agree, so you could keep going. You're good.
And then the Texans go on this 13 play drive that goes all of 34 yards, and their kicker misses a field goal. When was the last time a kicker missed a field goal against the Minnesota Vikings?
And that drive should have ended on a turnover because that was totally a catch and a fumble.
That wasn't
tight end. That wasn't an incomplete pass. That was a catch and a fumble.
Yeah,
but it didn't work. It worked out eventually. But
they drove the field, and which has been happening a lot this year. Teams driving the field and getting nothing at the end.
Yeah. But then how about this next drive the Vikings had? I want to talk about this touchdown pass. It was a Vikings 6-play, 58-yard drive that ended with a touchdown pass to Aaron Jones. But the play itself it showed Justin Jefferson in the backfield, and he kind of swings out wide, which left Aaron Jones wide open in the middle of the field, and he runs it in for a touchdown. And holy smokes, we talk about Brian Flores being this defensive wizard. Kevin O'Connell is dialing up some great plays and play calls this year, and that was one of them, man. That was just a great play, Drew. I mean, and you have been, I would argue, probably more critical than Kevin O'Connell than just about anybody. Talk about what you think of his play calling this year and that play.
That play was another beautifully designed play, and I have been critical of his play calling. And when we did our preview, I can't remember if it was part 1 or part 2, I said the play calling's different. And you guys said, well, I think it's the personnel that's different. I still disagree.
Okay.
The Vikings got a first down at the 16-yard line today and passed it to Jones on first down for a 4 or 5 yard gain. He is not being conservative. I'm telling you guys, he had a 4th down. He didn't run it in the middle with Madison. He ran a jet sweep to Naylor to get around the corner for the first down and the 4th down. The play calling, and I'll argue with you guys to the end, the play calling is different than it has been the last 2 years. It's different. There's better design, and he's put his foot on the gas more. He's not as conservative. I ripped on him. Sure I did. But it's all changed now, and I take it I'm wrong now. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong because he changed his play calling, which made it this is what I've been waiting for. Kevin O'Connell, it took him to this year to kind of figure to hell with running it in the middle all the time. And it also helps having Aaron Jones is more than an upgrade than Madison. He's like a triple, quadruple upgrade.
Yeah.
O'Connell, like Flores has the pieces, Ted. O'Connell has the pieces as well, but his play calling is different. And I'm going to stick to my belief on that. It's perfect so far. He has me guessing. And let's face it, last year we can guess all of his play calls. We could guess every one.
Digital Nate kind of leads into that. He says plays flow better now, and you can see several similar fronts leading to either run, play action sets. And that's a good point, man. They have several formations where the Vikings could either do a play action, they could run the ball, or guys set up and then guy runs wide, Chris, and then they do a pass. I don't know. I just thought those first two drives put the Vikings up 14-0, especially after that first turnover. And it really set the tone and had the Texans on their heels for the rest of the day.
And again, it's worth pointing out, O'Connell doesn't have all his pieces.
No.
He doesn't have Jordan Addison, and he doesn't have TJ Hawkinson, and that's just going to open up even more stuff when those guys finally get back. And we need to talk about Jalen Naylor a little bit too, because we talked last year about how when Justin Jefferson went out, Jordan Addison had to kind of step up into that number 1 role and how much he benefited from that. Jalen Naylor is making the most of his opportunities, and when Addison gets back and you can put Jefferson and Addison and Naylor and Hawkinson out on the field together, there you're going to see some fireworks happen, because it's just amazing what this offense has done this year, given what they've had to deal with.
All right, Mark Blowers, Ruby, if you could put this comment back up real quick. Mark Blowers had this comment. I think it's a combination of what we were just talking about the play calling and the execution. I think it's a combination. KOC is calling it different because he's got a guy who is more aggressive / less risk averse. I will tell you, Sam Darnold, I think it was the last touchdown. He threw it to Johnny Munt in the end zone into triple coverage touchdown. I don't think, and we've talked about this, I think, every game. Sam Darnold has made throws that I don't think Kirk Cousins would have made. He did it again today. That touchdown pass to Naylor, I didn't even know her. I don't think Kirk makes, maybe not, especially when they had the lead like they did. Maybe if the Vikings were tied late in the game or trailing, he makes it. He would have, but in the game situation, down and distance situation, I don't think he does. Sam Darnold has a confidence in his arm and in his receivers and his ability that I'm not sure previous Viking quarterbacks have had.
I kind of agree.
I agree, and I think a lot has to do with Ted talked about it 2 weeks ago on Vikings Report about the chip on his shoulder. I could see it in his eyes. You know what? On the sidelines, that he's got the hair and he's got the stare. Darnold is not screwing around. He was looking at that blue, whatever, that iPad thing. And I remember telling Ruby specifically, he got pissed off because he missed something on the iPad. He missed a play or something. He has got a fire in him. And I'm going to give him, now that I've seen him for 3 games, when he goes full tilt boogie is when he makes mistakes. When he does, like, why did you do that? Why did you throw that? Why, why'd you, he makes these, like we talk about 1 or 2 plays a game, makes a bonehead play or something. That's because the Jets and Carolina ruined him. He can't, that's the one habit he hasn't had to break. But can I do this for all the people that doubted Sam Darnold all those offseason? And I've read it. I've read a lot of them. He sucks. He's going to suck for the Vikings. I'm going to tell everybody who's against him, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. You are wrong. Well, Sam Darnold looks like the best quarterback in football, and he is focused. He is dialed. He knows this team. Justin Jefferson drops that first down pass. Darnold's on the sideline giving him a hug, saying, without you, we don't get this far. That's what a team is all about. You're building a team. It's a little detail, Ted. Sam Darnold is perfect for this team. Mark
Stein says, my son and I were at the game. The Vikings have looked on both offense and defense in years. Skull y'all. Hope you had a fun time. I hope both you and your son had a good time, Mark. Good job.
Mark,
the last time the Vikings had a quarterback that had the level of confidence in his arm that Sam Darnold has, honest to God, I think you got to go back to the zombie Favre year of 2009.
Okay,
that guy thought he could make any throw, and most of the time he could. But Darnold has that level of confidence that I don't think Cousins had. I don't think Keenum had. I don't think anybody since the Favre year has had, to be honest. And it's time for actual, honest to God, Sam Bradford MVP or Sam Darnold MVP discussion.
We talk about Ted talked about how he wasn't. The play calling looks different because Darnold's pulling the trigger on a lot of plays that Kirk didn't. I'm not denying that.
Okay.
I think that's part of it. I think that's a big part of it. I still think the play calling is different. It's a little bit more creative. It's a little bit more unpredictable. But I think O'Connell and Darnold got something going, Ted. I don't think Cousins was ever on. He became a better quarterback, Cousins did, with Kevin O'Connell. But Kevin O'Connell feels more comfortable with Darnold. He does. A couple though, he throws some lasers. He threw one in the second quarter to Jefferson. It was like, oh my God, dude, what a laser shot.
Digital Nate just said, I want you guys to chime in on this. Chris, you go, and then Drew. So now that we beat the Texans, 5-0 at the bye is not so hard anymore. So they got Green Bay and then the Jets and then the bye.
I mean, I don't know if Matt LaFleur is under the impression that he can get away with the kind of stuff he has the last couple of weeks when Brian Flores rolls into town. I don't know if they're going to play Jordan Love at quarterback next week. I don't know if they're going to play Malik Willis. I don't care who the Packers play at quarterback next week. I mean, it's going to be rough on whoever they decide to start. And I mean, the Jets are a solid team, but I don't think they're anything special. I think 5-0 at the bye is completely feasible.
Drew?
I would be shocked if it's not 5-0. With this defense and the unpredictability they faced, the Niners and the Texans, they got on the board early, and they like Chris said to start the show, they didn't just beat the Texans, they dismantled them. So I would think 5-0 is the only problem they have is getting too big on themselves, getting too much involved in, all right, we're 3-0, we're the best team in the league, and then they have to look out for that, the trap games or whatever. But I have them, how can you not look at 5-0? If they don't get 5-0, I consider that a shocker.
I expect 5-0 at this point now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Jay Johnson said, "What do you guys think of all the QB pressure the O-line is allowing? Is it the Niners and Texans D-line is just that good, or they still need some help?" I think it's a combination of both. Ed Ingram is still kind of disappointing. But I will say Sam Darnold's mobility is a lot better than I expected. I mean, like, Sam Darnold has, I don't want to say elite mobility, but way above average mobility and pocket presence.
What a great comment.
All right, look, I got to stop. This is a prize right here. Keep this up, Ruby. The Vikings defense is going full Heisenberg from Breaking Bad. They are the one who knocks. There we go. That's a prize right there. If you've never watched Breaking Bad and don't get the reference, I don't care. I have. That's funny. AJ, that's a prize right there.
I'm gonna write that down.
Vikings report.
Who was it? AJ?
Yeah, that's Freebird TV. That's AJ.
Hi, Lauren. Lauren checked in with us. Big Vikings.
But this O-line is what it is, and I think one of the reasons they got Darnold is because they knew he was a guy that has good pocket presence, can step up in the pocket and get out of pressure that comes up, in the middle, and you've seen that several times this year already. I'm not too concerned about it, honestly. But that's just me, guys. Go ahead.
Just want to kind of have to laugh. Somebody on Twitter has pointed out that the quarterbacks of the only 3-0 teams in the National Football League are Sam Darnold and Justin Fields, just like everyone expected going into, just like everyone expected after 3 weeks of the season.
A disgusting act said this team is way better than that 2016 that started off 5-0 and then disappeared. And another big difference in that is that 2016 team started off very healthy and then just got absolutely blasted by injuries, other than the Teddy Bridgewater injury that started off right before the season, if you remember. Then they had to make the trade for Sam Bradford right before week 1, I think it was. And then they had to wait a week before they could play him. Yep. This team is starting off injured, and then we're expecting them to get healthy with guys like, Addison's a little bit banged up, TJ Hawkinson's coming back, et cetera. So,
Sam Darnold, the one, I'm always looking for, I'm a veteran Vikings fan, so I think, 14-0, 21-0 is not good enough. I'm always looking at what they can make better. I thought at the end of the first or the second quarter, I didn't like the 7-step drop thing with Darnold, because they were killing him. They were getting pressure because they're a great front seven. They have two great, probably the toughest defensive ends we've faced so far. And I told Ruby I'd like to see an adjustment at halftime where we go a little bit 3-step drop and give Sam some easier passes, because, the 3-step stuff was there, but they continued to go with the 7-step even though they were in trouble. So the offensive line, I think, had a little bit of a tough day, but they got together on the big plays. And again, a real anomaly for this game. Total plays like the Niner game. At one point, Ted, Houston had 29 plays. We had 14.
Yeah. Just
like the Niner game, we had half the amount of plays, but we're up 14-0. That's efficient football. The Vikings are playing efficient offensive football. They're getting the best out of their play.
But by the end of the game, time of possession, and the Texans almost had a 2-1 time of possession. But by the end of the game, time of possession was almost even.
Right. Yeah, it was 29-14 in plays. When the half ended, it was 32-27. So they made up a little ground on the plays, but they were way more efficient with their offensive plays, and they didn't have that last year. They also were sleepwalking in the first quarter last year. They're not doing that this year. They're getting out. They're punching people in the face saying, "Here, we're here. What are you going to bring us? It's 14-0, bitch. What are you going to do to us?" Breaking the will. You got to break the will of the other team.
At the end of the second quarter, I thought the Vikings had a very good 2-minute drive going. I think they've been very good with the 2-minute drive at the end of the first half so far this year. They had a very promising one going. It just sort of fizzled out. I would have liked to have seen them get points. However, they didn't, but they were able to flip field position and prevented Houston from scoring. Andrew Van Ginkel, who's been another great addition to this Vikings defense this year, got a sack to end the half, ended 14-0. Vikings opened the second half with the ball. It ended with that Jalen Naylor touchdown that we talked about. They opened, and the ass whooping was on. They had a 21-0 lead at that point. And then from there, again, they exchanged punts. That's when Houston scored and was like 21-7. And that, the old me would be like, oh, Houston scored a touchdown. They made a nice play there. Ooh, I don't know. Vikings winning chances was like at 97%. I'm like, I don't know. And then, Drew, you talked about this earlier. The Vikings go down and kick the field goal. But this is when they had a 4th and short. It's like 4th and less than a yard. And you talked about Kevin O'Connell's play calling is different. And this is where they went for it on 4th and less than a yard. And they had that really nice play call with Jalen Naylor did the end around. Every time Riker makes a difficult kick, Zim's heart shrinks 3 sizes. Nicholas Roussan, by God, that's a surprise. We're just in a prize-giving mood today.
We got the best followers of this show than anybody. We got the best fans in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Northfield, y'all hear that roar when Sam came back from the injury tent? Yeah, I did. And I think I tweeted, I never thought I'd be so glad to say that I was so happy to see Sam frickin' Darnold come back and off the bench for the Vikings, play quarterback for the Vikings when that happened. But you talked about it. That 4th down call, again, sends a message to the Vikings, just like that 4th and goal call in week 1 against the Giants when they decided to go for it instead of kick a field goal.
Right.
It's just a different feeling, a different level of confidence that I don't think either Kevin O'Connell had or the Vikings as a whole had. I don't know. I talk about that, Drew.
It's a matter of playing loose and playing together and having fun. I think the Vikings this is the best energy I've seen both sides of the ball. There's a lot of energy out there, guys supporting each other. In years past, if you lose your middle linebacker and a couple other injuries, the Vikings, let's face it, the number one thing the Vikings have done this year is their depth. That is the difference in these games, if you ask me. The depth, the energy, they got to play as a team. And I'm always looking at details, whether I'm watching Michigan or whether I'm watching the Vikings. You look at plays like that punt that they had down to the 1 yard line and Brandon Powell blocked the guy and let the ball go into the end zone. That's something you're never going to see on the stat line. You're never going to see that. You got that. You got that amazing punt by Ryan Wright kicking out of his end zone all the way to the 39-yard line, and he put it right on the boundary. Absolutely perfect.
Yep.
There's a lot of little details that Kevin O'Connell that I bitched about. Play call. Why are you calling a timeout there? Things in the past where it does make a difference. It does. You're going to run the ball. You're going to milk a little clock. There's a lot of little details that don't show up in the stat line. And I think O'Connell and Flores and the Vikings culture is to notice the details. But they are playing for each other. These games are so fun to watch now. I think that's the difference.
And I said on social media, like right before the 4th one play that Naylor took the end around on, as soon as the Vikings came out just that little bit short, I said the Vikings should go for it. And I got a lot of replies that were just like, well, why 4? Make it a 3-score game. This is about not only building confidence in your team, but basically trying to break the will of the other side.
Yes.
I mean, you're up 21-7. Yeah, you can kick the field goal and you can go out 24-7, or you can slam it down Houston's throat and get another fresh set of downs and drain some more time off the clock and basically tell them we can do whatever the hell we want out here, and just keep the drive going. I mean, it did wind up being a field goal, but that sent the message to the entire Houston team that we're here and we're beating the crap out of you because we can do whatever we feel like doing.
And It wouldn't have if Jefferson doesn't drop that ball. We got another first down. We're chewing more time off the clock. So the field goal actually. No, you're absolutely right, Chris. They don't have that.
This is the killer instinct that we have been waiting for.
Yes.
Zimmer never had it. Childress never had it. Ruby is going to put that whistle where it can blow on its own. But,
come on, you guys. Hey, we're 3-0 with Boxcar Willie. Don't bitch.
Wow.
I mean, he brings up a good point with that. 3-0 with the whistle.
Chris is absolutely dead on.
But yeah, that it's a good, and we have griped about this since this show has started and since before this show started when we were on with our good friend Dave back in the day with Good Morning Gallahorn that the Vikings just did not have this killer instinct, and now they have it, and they very rarely played complementary football, and now they're playing it. The very first quarter, third play from scrimmage, the Vikings get an interception from C.J. Stroud. They converted it into a touchdown. After this touchdown from Jalen Naylor, on the next possession, the Vikings get a Cam Bynum interception. Or after the field goal from Will Reichard to make it 24-7, they go down, get another interception from Cam Bynum, and then Sam Darnold unleashes the howitzer to Johnny Munt in triple coverage.
I still don't know how the hell that ball got to Johnny Munt. He warped that thing Star Trek style just from his hand into Munt's gut.
When Munt caught that, it might have stopped Munt's heart for like 3/4 of a second because it was going about 107 miles an hour. When
Munt
had to catch that ball in self-defense.
Not an easy catch.
No, it wasn't. So, I mean, it's all those things that we've griped about for years as Vikings fans that we see other teams do. Play complementary football. When you're up, don't let off the gas. The Vikings are now doing that, and they're 3-0, and there's a reason they're 3-0, and it's great to see.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is Kevin O'Connell a little bit more, like, for lack of a better word, ballsy with the offensive play calling when he knows the defense is like an avalanche just plowing over people? Is it easier for him to go for things like that, or is it?
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, does he look at Flores and Flores says, yeah, go for it. I'll stop him.
I mean, it was like, it's kind of the opposite. You have times where the defense is so bad that you got to put up 30 points or you don't have a shot. On this team, Kevin O'Connell probably goes out there every week knowing, if we can get to 20 points, I don't think the other team is going to score 20 points because Brian Flores is just, I don't know what the hell nobody knows what the hell Brian Flores is doing right now, but he's doing a hell of a job at it. I mean, it's been amazing to watch, and having a defense like that. I mean, it's like I keep going back to 2017, but the Vikings had that defense that wasn't going to allow more than about 14 or 17 points, and that's got to make it a lot easier on the offense. They can go out there and play a lot looser and whatnot, and it's got to make it easier on O'Connell with Flores doing what he's doing with this defense.
And with a few minutes left, the Texans pretty much waved the white flag and benched C.J. Stroud and brought in Davis Mills. I mean, you see the Vikings do that 1 or 2 times a year. They bench Kirk, bring in Nick Mullins or whatever. When was the last time the opposing team was so bad they just said, we're going to live to fight another day. We don't want to risk getting our starting quarterback hurt, and they brought in the reserve quarterback for mop-up duty? When was the last time that happened? I honestly cannot remember.
It's been a while. I mean, I can't remember the last time either off the top of my head.
When has it happened against a team, Ted, that was favored to win the conference with the Chiefs? When has it happened against a team that was that formidable as the Texans? It might have happened against the Giants or Carolina or the Bears or something, but I don't remember the last time we played a team that was undefeated that we handled as well as we did today.
With so many of their guys jacked up to come back and play against the Vikings because they were key members of the Vikings for a lot of years.
Yep.
Was that Hunter play dirty?
No, I don't. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think he had any ill intent. I mean, he got knocked down. He was trying to bring Darnold down. I don't think he meant to injure him or anything crazy like that. I mean, it was awful to see, and we all held our breath for about 5 minutes until Nick Mullins came in for all of one play and handed it to Aaron Jones, and then Sam Darnold came back into the game. So yeah, we had to hold our breath a bit, but I don't think it was malicious or anything like that, really.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think it was either. It was just, it was a tackle. And like, I get that you're trying to protect players, and I do. I was like, my heart sank when I saw Sam get up and limp and then fall back down. I thought, good God, this team can never catch a break. We're riding high, and now it looks like Sam's hurt, and I was really irritated. But I looked at the play, I rewound it a couple of times, and no, it was a tackle. It just kind of happened. So no, I don't think it was dirty, but I was still irritated. I was still mad.
Yeah, I think Hunter felt kind of bad about that after.
And I will say, someone pointed out, I can't remember who it was online. It might have been one of the guys, Star Tribune or whatever, but this is like 128 career games for Danielle Hunter. That was his first ever roughing the passer penalty.
Yeah.
For a pass rusher of his ability and his talent to only have one roughing the passer penalty, dude's not a dirty player.
Right.
I mean, I don't think he meant to do anything like that.
That's a great point. Compared to Ndamukong Suh, who had 450.
Something like that, yeah.
Talk about a dirty player in Ndamukong Suh, whatever.
Yeah, he's dirty all the way around. So is his wife. Okay. I have a couple tidbits I'd like to read off. Reichard had more fantasy points than CJ Stroud. Go ahead, laugh it up. Let's get some LOLs in the chat.
Reichard's on my actual fantasy team for my office, so I'm fine with that.
And I bore everybody with penalties and third down conversions, all those inside the number things that I love. And I only bring stats when they make a difference. I don't bore you with rushing average off the right side is 3 point. Fuck all that. Third down conversion, Vikings 6 of 13. 2 straight weeks, they're almost at 50%. Houston 3 for 11. Rushing. This might be the game like it was with the 146 last week against San Francisco. Ted, 118 yards for the Vikings, 38 for the Texans. The Vikings are finding their identity. Instead of being lost in the wheels of confusion, as Ozzy Osbourne would say, the Vikings we're going to play great defense. We're going to run the football. We're going to let Sam Darnold be himself. They are building an identity. Like you've said 1,000 times, Ted, over the last 4 months, I think the Vikings are building something special, and you are absolutely right.
And I want to point out that that comment that Digital Nate just made that Ruby had up on the screen there. That drive where the Texans were like at 3rd and 4 and they were in field goal range and whatever, and the crowd at US Bank Stadium was just unhinged for however long that was. 3 straight false starts, took them all the way out of field goal range, and then the play after that they had another penalty, but the Vikings declined it because they didn't get the first down, and they wound up having to punt that ball away. And I think that was the punt that Drew talked about before, where the Texans could have downed it inside like the 5-yard line, but then Powell threw a shoulder into one of the gunners and it wound up bouncing into the end zone instead. But the crowd was directly responsible for that, and that was pretty awesome to see.
Great.
Laramie Tunsil hasn't had a day this bad since draft night, since that video popped up of him with a gas mask.
Remember
that pop mask he had?
That's what I was just talking about.
The gas mask and the bong. That was
he was it went from 3rd and 4, Ted and Chris, to 3rd and 19. That's a great point. You got the crowd did make a difference today.
And even if, like I said, even if the Texans would have gotten that 3rd and 19, they had another penalty, so it would have been 3rd and 24.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is that was the Reichard field goal a Viking record? I wanted to ask you.
No, it's because Joseph had that 61-yarder against the Giants.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
Joseph.
I think it was the second longest in team history. So yeah.
I don't want to hear about Joseph.
It's the longest. It's the longest field goal in Vikings history that's ricocheted off of the upright and through the goalpost. So we'll go with that.
No,
That was
All
pretty
right.
awesome.
no missed extra point after a touchdown, though, Ted. Remember we talked about Greg Joseph being the buzzkill? Yeah, we
Yep.
scored. I didn't know that was the longest. 61 yarder is the Viking record.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was a what was that the second?
That was the
Yeah,
Giants game at U.S. Bank Stadium in 2022.
That was
he won. He made it with like no time left on the clock.
That was before Greg Joseph had the dislocated vagina. And from that on,
Whoa!
I don't even want to know how that injury happens.
Yeah.
sorry, I hate that guy.
Well, it is what it is. If I could also quote Ozzy Osbourne, it feels like the Minnesota Vikings are flying high again. But
flying high again. That's great.
So yeah, I just this team feels way different than past teams. Just from the coaching staff on down, and somebody on Twitter asked kind of fairly early in the game, who is this team, or what is this team? And I said, who is this team? I said, this is the vision that's finally being realized by Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, Kevin O'Connell when they got hired. Everybody said, in this day and age of instant gratification and social media instant reaction and all that stuff, nobody likes to be patient. And it just, after that first draft that Adolfo-Mensah had, that also had Ty Chandler and I think Cam Bynum in that draft, and I believe Jalen Naylor. So maybe that first draft class of his, although whatever, wasn't a complete wash. It's finally coming to pass, man. And this team with this staff and these players are pretty freaking good, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Maybe that should be our calling card for the year. We're pretty freaking good.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't want the press and the media to start telling the Vikings they're the best, because they get that in your head. You start losing games, and all of a sudden you're not.
A couple of comments. First of all, Shane Lynn gives us $10. Thank you, Shane. Again, everybody that donates money, it goes directly into prizes and everything for our prize vault. So thank you. Andrew Kramer, Vikings beat reporter for the Strip, gets a quote from Justin Jefferson. It feels good to be part of a blowout win. I hadn't had one yet. Something I can get used to. I mean,
yo.
I mean, when you think about it, he's right.
That's kind of a shout out, isn't it, Ted? Kind of a shot, kind of a dig. What do they call it? A dig?
I believe it is. Yeah, it is.
And I'll point out once again, Drew talked about stats and numbers or whatever before. I think we mentioned it last week. When the Vikings are even or better in the turnover ratio in the Kevin O'Connell era, 20 wins, 0 losses.
And they won it 2-0. 2-0.
Yeah, they won it 2-0 a day, and they were even the first 2 games. So, yeah, 20-0 when they're even or better in the turnover ratio under Kevin O'Connell, and like 3-14 when they're not.
What makes this exciting is it's not a smoke and mirrors. They're not getting 7 turnovers a week. This is, but nobody wants to say anything. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin the card. I want Chris to pick Malik Willis next week. Let's keep everything the same, because the Vikings are rolling. Man, that was a fun game to watch today. And I think the 2 biggest differences for me was they get off to a fast start, and they're not letting those mistakes kill them, Ted. They're not.
No, they're not.
And I do think Cousins held them back with his checkdowns to Ham. I agree with you on that.
To some degree, yeah, I think so. And I mean, and Kirk. I don't mean to diss Kirk, because he's a good quarterback, and you saw that. I think was the Sunday night game or the Monday night game where he had that huge drive to beat Philadelphia in Philly. So I mean, he can get it done, but there's just a different vibe about this team that I have not seen with this team, and it wasn't on Kirk. It was there was a ton of dysfunction with Mike Zimmer. I mean, Drew, you talked about the gloom that was around this Vikings team, and it wasn't just on one person. It was a multitude of people and things that just hung over this franchise, and it's now completely gone. And from the general manager all the way down to the equipment guy, everybody's rowing in the same direction with the same vision, and we didn't have that before, and we've got it now, and it's cool, man. I love it. I just love it, and it's you don't get this very often. And it doesn't matter what job you have or where you work, whether it's a professional football team or in an office setting, whatever. When you have it, you know you've got it, and it's cool. And when it comes along, you want to hold on to it for as long as you have it. And Vikings have it right now, and I hope this ride goes all the way into February.
Yeah, very well
absolutely
said. That's very well said. And it's kind of nice to see. You know what? When you get on a team that is rolling with confidence, you get defenders like Bullard makes a play, and then Van Ginkel says, "I want to do better than that. I want to better him." Then Metellus wants to better him. And then Grugier Hill, and then it's just like Gilmore. Everybody wants. I want to be the next guy to make the big play, and that's what Michigan had to go to the national championship. Everybody stepped up over everybody else, and I see that with the Vikings. Everybody wants to make big play. Harrison Phillips, has he ever looked any better than he looks right now? Harrison Phillips looks like the MVP of the defense right now. That guy tipped pass, sacks. I mean, that guy is he's done better his first 3 weeks than the whole time he's been with the Vikings.
Or even better, Chris, they know that they have so much trust in the person they're lining up next to that they know they don't have to do more than just what their assignment is, that they can just take their responsibility, and they know the other guy will make the play. They're so unselfish that they don't care if they get the sack or the tackle. They just do their assignment, and their teammate will get the job done. And again, Norsefius, thank you for the $10. Chris, go.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean,
there's my ball right there, bro. It's a ball. I got balls. Let me tell you, man. You want references? I'll send you references about my nuts.
No, we do not.
But anywho, so yeah, but no, like Ted was saying, when you got confidence that the guy next to you is going to do his job, I mean, it was. I hate going back to time being enlisted or whatever, but Ted was in the military. I was in the military. Everyone knows that these things. These missions are team efforts. You got to do your job so the guy next to you can do their job, so that the guy at another location can do their job. And if you have faith and confidence that everybody's going to do their job and everyone is going to be where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to do, it makes it a whole lot easier. And now that Brian Flores has guys like Gilmore and Shaq Griffin and Murphy and Cashman and Van Ginkel, all these guys who have been around long enough to know, hey, I don't have to play hero ball all the time. I got all these guys around me that are going to do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. So that's got to make things a whole lot easier for that defense.
Yeah, and you could just feel it permeating throughout the whole team on both sides of the ball. It's great to see. All right, folks, we're rolling up on an hour. What we're gonna do now, she informed me her mic is not working, so she's gonna put the wheel up on the board. We got a whole bunch of folks making comments today, so we're gonna spin the wheel, see who gets the prize.
Chris, read those names off before we start, real quick.
There's way too many.
Yeah, there's way too many names. Yeah, there we go.
It never lands on me. I don't know what the deal is.
You're not eligible.
No.
Lazy Nerd. I think that's a first-time winner. I haven't heard. Yeah. I've never called that name off before.
I've never heard of Lazy Nerd.
Yeah. Love it when we have a first-time winner. Lazy Nerd, congratulations. Get a hold of Ruby at Vikings Report with Drew and Ted at gmail.com.
Are we sure that's not Laramie Tunsil?
Could possibly be. Get a hold of Ruby at Vikings Report Drew and Ted at gmail.com. She will send you a link to the prize vault to pick out a prize, and we'll get it mailed out to you. And by we, I mean Drew and Ruby will get it mailed out to you because I don't have any of the prizes.
Nah, neither do I.
How many freaking prizes did we give out today?
I
like 26.
Yeah.
Like that.
Which is as many penalties as Laramie Tunsil had today. So it all evens out in the end.
Tunsil with the pop mask.
All right.
I got a good final thought to end it.
All right, Chris, we'll let you go first, and then we'll let Drew finish up.
No, I mean, once again, this is a lot of fun to watch. It's enjoyable watching the Vikings actually blow people out and not having to worry about your cardiovascular health for the entire fourth quarter and whatnot. So I like Justin Jefferson said, this is something you can get used to. And it's hate week next week, so we get to go to Lambeau Field. So yeah, we'll hope this team can keep this going.
Drew.
I want to say this because this is another thing like the Powell block at the goal line that a lot of people don't notice. We talk about organizations coming together, and that's kind of a cliche. A lot of people hear about it, but if you look at what's going on in Carolina and you look at what's going on in Minnesota, that's the difference. The Vikings got together in the offseason. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, Kevin O'Connell, Wes Phillips, Brian Flores all sit down at a table and say, Flores, what players do you need? Wes, what ideas do you have on offense? This is what happens when you go get the players you like, you draft the players you like that'll fit in your system, and you're working together as a coaching staff and a franchise. This is how teams are built. This is what it's all about. Credit to the Wills for getting this group together. Credit to Kevin O'Connell. I've completely flipped on him being a wuss. I don't think he's a wuss anymore, but it should be noted that this is what working together is all about. It's not Zimmer and Spielman and whatever defensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? You get the difference. This is the difference, and a lot of people don't look at this stuff. But this is what happens when guys work together and their scheme and hats off to all the Vikings for the guys I just mentioned for getting it together because they have brought us a great product, and they are JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy tweeted today, that Sam Darnold guy, he's good.
Yeah, he did.
So even on the outside with the injured guys, they're noticing what's going on with the team. It's really a team right now, and I wanted to point that out because people get on those. What about the scene pick? Go to hell about the scene pick. What about all the guys they got in the offseason? That's working together. That's not a GM getting what he wants.
Nope.
And telling the coach, this is what I want. You're going to deal with it. These are guys working together, and the Vikings are working together. So that's my final statement.
Yep. Vikings moved to 3-0. They've only, they haven't really beaten anybody, just the Giants and then the defending NFC champion and then a team everybody thinks might be the AFC representative in the Super Bowl if they can beat Kansas City. They just haven't beaten anybody. So I'm sure this coming week, everybody will talk down the 49ers and now, like they did last week, and now they'll just talk down Houston saying, is Houston really any good? So the Minnesota Vikings moved to a fraudulent 3-0. As we'll hear all week.
The fraudulent 3-0 is better than a legitimate 0-3.
Hey, Ted, let's fly under the radar. It's been working so far.
Yep, and we'll hear all week about how they're going to get dismantled in Lambeau by the now
you know what?
Resurgent Malik Willis and the Green Bay Packers, which I'm fine. Go ahead.
Just nod your head. Okay.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Vikes moved to 3-0. I love the vibe coming out of Minneapolis right now and what the Vikings are doing. I think it's going to continue for a while. Love the way the team is rallying around Sam Darnold and what Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell are cooking up with the Vikings. Keep Brian Flores no matter what the cost. For Chris, for Drew, for Ruby, we will see you with our Vikings preview coming up with the big board Friday and part 2 on Saturday. Skol Vikings, 3-0 is better than 0-3, baby.
I'm happy right now.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to keep drinking. Because I deserve it.
Absolutely.